On the Make Noise YouTube page, you'll find this video where they show you how to create arcade game style sounds. I have a video doing a similar thing on the Mother 32. I like retro video game sounds, so I'm going to show you a variation of that on the Zero Coast. We're going to use the square shape output. So let's take the square output and plug that to this input here. Make sure the balance is all the way to the left. And now we're hearing this pure square oscillator. I want to modulate the pitch of that with a square-shaped LFO. So we can use the slope. With the cycle on, it works like an LFO if the rate is kind of slow. And instead of the slope output, we will use the end of cycle because that's an actual square type output. Now we could take the end of cycle output and plug it directly to the 1 volt per octave input, but that'll give us a really wide range. We want to control it, so I'll plug it into this voltage math input here. And now the attenuator will give us control over that signal. Let's take the output here and plug that to the 1 volt per octave input. So when the attenuator is in the center, you'll hear this. Well, it's not quite in the center, that's why we're still hearing some modulation. And since there's no center dent, it's almost impossible to get that right in the center. But you can hear the modulation, and of course, I can control the rate with the slope parameters. Now I'll try to tune this to be a musical interval. An octave would be ideal. Cool, so now we have that. Now it's just a matter of making that modulation faster, and there we go. You can play around with the rate of that modulation with the slope parameters itself. You don't want it to be too fast. It needs to sound like an arpeggiation. Let's see how it sounds with the arpeggiator. So press program A and B together. My tempo is running too slow, so I'll just tap here to give it a rate. Maybe faster than that. By the way, with this arpeggiator, we do have an option for latch mode. Right now, when I let go of the notes, the arpeggiation stops immediately. But if I access the program pages by holding down program A here, when that LED blinks, we're in page 1. Now if I tap program B, so now when I play a chord and let go, you can hear the notes are latched. So I don't have to hold down the notes, and I can use both hands to fool around with the pad. So in this program page 1, depending on if program B is on or off, you can have this latch on or off. Now once you've selected your option, like for example, I have latch on, just tap and hold program B to get out of program pages. And now you have that option set. Also now you can tap program B to tap your tempo. Keep in mind you can't tap tempo while you're inside the program pages. You can play around with the contour controls. Maybe with a sustain all the way down and a slightly higher decay/release value. It's kind of a variation on the tone. You can play around with the range control with the attenuator, but keep in mind, ideally you want to set this to a musical interval. So maybe an octave would work best. It can be a bit hard to set that value, just because it's so sensitive. Maybe crank up your sustain so you can hear that better while you're setting the pitch. There we go. So now we can turn on the arpeggiator, and now we have this sound. Tap program B to change the tempo. We could use the overtone side, and then the multiply and overtone dials come into play. We could even try the triangle shape by unplugging this cable. And so now on the fundamental side, we're hearing the pure triangle shape. Cool, so this is a variation on that arcade sound. Hope that was helpful.